Michael Collins from Jobs for the Future, which you're going to learn about in a second, is just a really generous, kind, and smart person and has helped me learn a lot about other folks doing work that is similar but different. And it's really helped me think differently about scale. And so I hope today that's what you get out of this, is a sense that there are other organizations doing super awesome work that's really helping move things forward for students and for the rest of the country. Michael Collins from Jobs for the Future. I'm super excited. Thanks for coming on and for making the time. I know you're super busy.
No, we all are. You are too. So thanks so much for having me. It's great to talk to you, Bridget.
So the first thing I want to do is, because people are like, oh, Jobs for the Future, what does that mean?
So JFF, we are about 36 years old. We just had our 35th year anniversary last year. We are a national nonprofit. We design, scale, influence, and invest. We are all about the transformation of our education and workforce development systems. We have been at work around closing the skills gap again for 36 years, and we really do work across the spectrum. So from high school to college transition, post-secondary, transition to work. We also work with incumbent workers and upskilling, and most recently, we're really trying to show value in some of the new economy models, really trying to understand how tech can help us with improving workforce development and training systems. So it's exciting times at JFF.
So if folks are on our page or who are familiar with UIA, they know that we run a network, and you're running like a jillion networks. It's a technical term of colleges and universities, or tell us a little bit about the network work you're doing.
Absolutely. So we work across the spectrum. We have networks that are school districts, community college systems, institutions, workforce development boards. We support networks of networks. And so that's really how we do our scale work. We really believe that connecting innovators with each other it's a way to accelerate knowledge transfer, right? Like if you want to go far, you got to do that with other people. And so we believe that networks are, an impact strategy. And so that is why we work with networks, across the country.
What people might not know about us that we have in common is that we were both kind of secretly created a bit by Hillary Pennington. Like long before I got involved with UIA, she was helping with ASU and Michael Crow was first getting that group of presidents together to start having conversations about what would later become the UIA. And she started JFF.
That's absolutely right. Hillary Pennington is a co-founder, her and Arthur White. She is a terrific visionary, and really when I hear people talking about credentials that have labor market value, I remember Hillary, back when I met her in the early 2000s, that was her thing, very instrumental in kind of the school to work movement. And, just when she transitioned to the Gates Foundation, all of a sudden there was kind of this whole conversation around kind of credentials and what they meant for people to be able to kind of enter the workforce, earn family supporting wages. I give her so much credit for so much of the conversation that has happened in post-secondary and workforce today, and terrifically happy to be connected to her and working in the organization that was her original vision.
I just can't believe to have created something that's already 30 years old. When you get an email from her, you feel like you're getting a hug. I aspire to someday be able to write an email like Hillary Pennington. So
I can concur, but she's also like that in person. When you are around Hillary, you can feel the energy, you can feel the compassion, the love, just the humanity. She is a wonderful asset to this work, and I credit so much of just kind of my professional insights and some of what I do to Hillary. I mean, like, it is the work, but it is also, it's our lives. We live this work, and she's just been wonderful throughout.
I did want to ask you if there's something that you've learned in your work recently that you can share kind of with the collective campfire here that has struck you. Is there anything that's just kind of a little nugget that has struck you lately?
One of the ones that I would share is that, we as a field, when you think about kind of the completion field, it's like we lead with the idea of completion. And so we want to get, evidence-based practice. We want people to do things that we have evidence for, but we have not paid much attention to how we, get that evidence into the hands of people who can do something about it in a way that is packaged so they actually can act on something. And I have just been struck by how we all kind of stand on our, pedestals and our high horses, and we are telling people what they should do. And we have been, as a field, I think, just less effective in actually providing kind of the infrastructure, for people to actually plug into and get things done. And so I've been thinking a lot about, like, how do we take our content and package it in a way that busy people, right, can say, and it's not, I wouldn't reduce it to kind of plug and play, but it still has to be like, we lay out all this different evidence. How do we structure it and provide it in ways that people can actually move on it? The second thing really quickly that I've learned is, in our policy work, I'm trained in public policy, went to LBJ School of Public Affairs. It's largely been my career. And as I think about the policy work that we've done over the last decade, it is so institutionally specific and sector specific. It lacks intersectionality, right? Funders, they fund different initiatives, and we've been doing that. And now as I look back and I look at all the social problems and economic challenges that certain populations are having, and I realize that, a single, sector-specific policy play just isn't up for the challenge. And so those are two humbling lessons. You learn these lessons being a part of the field.
Love it. That's really helpful. And I'm so on the same page with you about the diffusion piece, about it cannot possibly be another PDF download. Like
right.
Something that, like, part of one of the, I don't know if you probably get interviewed for podcasts all the time, but like, there's all these higher ed podcasts, and I love that, people are trying to find different dynamic ways to share ideas. But if I'm being honest, I don't think I listen to podcasts unless I've been on it. Like, I don't have time, and at work I can't multitask and listen to a podcast. So it's like I appreciate that we're dabbling, but we need to figure out the format that gets it right, so that people are like, yes, that's actually, I want to listen to that in my personal life.
So one of the things I guess I would suggest here is, like, I just recently went out and joined a conversation at the Strategic Horizons Network. It's a group of really forward-thinking colleges, 9 institutions, and they're community colleges, and their whole raison d'etre, right? Like, their whole reason for being is to learn not from post-secondary, but to learn from other sectors. That was amazing to me, and it's such a challenge. I do think that, like, we need to, as a field, learn from other fields. We are not in it alone. We can learn. And so I think that for me, most of the podcasts that I'm listening to and the content I'm listening to, I'm really trying to learn from people who have done really amazing and innovative things in their sectors. And I'm trying to draw out the implications for what, we as a field should be doing.
Awesome. So that's a great one. What is a podcast you're listening to? So when you said that, I immediately thought of Masters of Scale, which is one of my favorites to listen to, which, just in general, accumulating stories from scale from Silicon Valley, which some translate, some don't. Yeah. Is there a podcast that you're loving that you could share?
So I have a penchant for, it's called Farnham Street. There's a guy named Shane Farmer, and he does a lot of work essentially distilling kind of evidence-based kind of best practice for industry. A lot of investors listen to him. And he does a lot of interviews with people on, who have accomplished extraordinary things. And he really kind of deconstructs, like, how did you do that? And it's fascinating. Some of them are CEOs, tech people, but some of them are investors, and really going through their thought process. He talks a lot about the quality of, kind of what you read and when you read, how you read. And I find it fascinating, and it gives me a framework to help me approach kind of the problems that I'm trying to solve. And so that's one that I really enjoy.
Yeah. The final 2 questions I wanted to wrap up with are, one, I know that you have an incredibly busy life and you're booked back to back and barely able to, how do we get through these days? Inbox, everything overwhelmed. Any tip that helps you survive as a busy professional?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, it's like we can't claim like we're busier than anybody else. This is kind of the plight of knowledge workers, and we really do need to get a handle on it just for our health. You read about 50-year-olds like having strokes, and like, right, it is serious. We have to get a handle on work-life balance. And for me, it all comes down to family. I am really very fortunate to have a beautiful family, and I really do try to cut it off. At a certain time, I try to cut it off so that I can be available to them. I also really have been. It's really funny. I'm really kind of almost going backwards as opposed to kind of like tech. I'm really trying to go to kind of just family time, no tech, time in the yard. I have a tent that is in the backyard. It's kind of propped up just to have my son run in and around it, and just really just time off of email, off of tech, and really just interacting with loved ones, friends, and family is I think essential. And it's hard to do. It's hard to pull away. There's always another email. There's always another report, right? Like I tell people, knowledge never sleeps, never stops. But, at some point you gotta, step up and make that call for your personal health.
Love it. That's good. All right. Last piece, travel tip. Anything that helps you survive. Mine is compression socks.
Travel's a rough one. I think so. My pro tip is, we're all busy and we're all running, right? So what I have found, instead of making the last dash, and be the last person on the plane, I have found that, going to the airport early, particularly if you're a member of a club, if I have heavy travel, I'll look at my day. Sometimes I'll go to the airport early. I'll go to the club, get in a little room, and I'll almost kind of office there, right? Just decompressing. I don't have to run to the airport. I don't have to run to my flight. It's nice. And just so things like that. People think that they're optimizing by like waiting to the last minute, then running from their desk to the car to the airport. And I find, there's just so much more peace, and you can almost have a Zen experience. Plan a little ahead. You go ahead, you're not stressed in security, you get in there, you can kick back, and really, some of them are beautiful spaces, and you just really can just slow down the pace a little bit, get some good work done. And I have found it, just really, it's been super helpful for me.
So I just want to say thank you so much. Not only have I appreciated you and your work because it's been super informative and helpful, but you're also just an awesome friend. And I love that we get to hang out for the Gate Scan.
Well, I appreciate it. And the feeling is mutual. And, going back to the networks, like that's, that again, staying connected to like-minded professionals. It is a good professional practice, but it's also a healthy practice, right? Like just staying close, holding each other accountable for doing good work, but also for taking care of each other. So always a pleasure.